This is Dr. Someshwar from Shield Healthcare. I hope everyone doing good. And I welcome you all on to the Menopause series by Dr. Payal Bhargav, a co-founder of Divine Magic Foundation. Before starting the talk, let me take privilege to introduce Dr. Payal Bhargav ma'am, who is a postgraduate diploma in ART from and reproductive medicine from Kiel, Germany. And she did her fellowship in infertility from IMA Hyderabad, and she is a life member of IMA Menopause Society India and PCOS Society India. She is a member of Managing Committee of PCOS Society India and co-founder and director on board XPS Analytics Private Limited, and consultant at Sri Krishna Diagnostic Center, and also consultant at Pranada Hospital, Hyderabad. And she is a co-founder for Divine Magic Foundation, a public health and awareness initiative working at grassroots level and digitally through its YouTube channel. Now, without much further ado, let me turn over the time to Dr. Payal Bhargav to take over the session.
Welcome all for our 8th series of Sailing Through Menopause. In my previous video, I discussed about diabetes, one of the commonest endocrinal problem in our country. So today we'll be talking about thyroid in menopause, thyroid disorders, what difference does it make in having thyroid in menopause. So I welcome all for the second commonest endocrine problem in our country and how to deal with it during menopause. So let's discuss today about thyroid related problems in menopause. Now the thyroid gland is a small organ that's located in the front of the neck, wrapped around the windpipe or trachea. It is shaped like a butterfly. It is smaller in the middle with 2 wings that extend around the side of your throat. The role of the thyroid gland in the endocrine system is to regulate the body's metabolism. Thyroid health issues therefore affect many bodily functions. For proper functioning of the gland, it must have a good supply of iodine. So let's see what happens to our thyroid gland when we age. As the thyroid gland ages, it reduces in size. Iodine uptake decreases, and there's decreased production of the 2 thyroid hormones, T3 and T4. Now, thyroid disease becomes more common as the age increases. Due to changes in hormone productions, thyroid hormones and functionality begins to waver in old age, thus leading to hyperthyroidism, that is, when there's more production of thyroid hormone, too much thyroid hormone production, or hypothyroidism, a decreased production in the thyroid hormones. Now, as a result, as you get old, you are more likely to develop thyroid diseases and disorders. In addition to being a common age-related issue, thyroid problems occur more frequently in women than men. So it is very important for us to understand the changes that occur in an aging thyroid during menopause. So let's see the Indian scenario. In India, 42 million people have thyroid disorders. That's a huge number. So the prevalence of hypothyroidism in Indian adults is 1 in 10 of the population. It is 3 times more common in women, especially women over the age of 55 years. Now, millions of women with menopausal-like symptoms, even those taking estrogen, may be suffering from undiagnosed thyroid disease. While symptoms such as fatigue, depression, mood swings, and sleep disorders are frequently associated with menopause, they may also be signs of hypothyroidism. In our previous videos, we have already seen what are the common symptoms of menopause. The symptoms of hypothyroidism, that is, when there's less production of thyroid, are very similar to the menopausal symptoms. So when an aged woman comes to us, it sometimes becomes difficult to diagnose whether the woman is suffering from menopausal symptoms or from the hypothyroid symptoms. So postmenopausal women are at increased risk of both osteoporosis and cardiovascular disease. And untreated thyroid disease may exacerbate these risks. Now, as we already know that menopause leads to osteoporosis as well as heart problems. Now, when there's thyroid hormone disorder, that is, when there's increased thyroid hormone production, it leads to osteoporosis, that is bone destruction. And when there's less of thyroid formation, it leads to cardiovascular disease, that is heart problems. So thyroid disorders constitute the second most condition after diabetes. So let's discuss a bit in detail about age-related changes in metabolism due to both menopause and hypothyroidism and its impact on us. The practical implications arise from the increased risk of fracture among women with hyperthyroidism, either primary or iatrogenic. So as we know that menopause leads to increased bone destruction and is a common cause for osteoporosis. As well, the thyroid hormone increased production leads to bone destruction and fractures. In the elderly woman, that is aged 70 years or more, current use of thyroid hormone was associated with increased risk of fracture with a strong dose-response relation. Now, one must consider the relation between age and the level of TSH. In the elderly, the TSH distribution is skewed to the right, which might represent unidentified hypothyroidism, although not all with higher TSH level progress to overt hypothyroidism. So what do we mean by this? Now, when we go for a TSH or the thyroid profile test, we usually measure TSH. Now, if you see on the reports, you will have a common value of 3.5 to 6, which is considered normal. Now, during pregnancy, we usually consider 2.5 as a level which is normal TSH level during pregnancy. Now, it is exactly opposite when you are in your menopause. We usually treat patients when the TSH level is above 10 for menopausal women. So we have to be very cautious about what the level of our TSH hormone is and do we really need to treat or not to treat these patients. So one must therefore strive to define age-related TSH normal in the elderly and until then be cautious in not over-treating them with T4. So now there are some risk factors which lead to thyroid disorders. So the first one among the list is women older than age 60. If you have other thyroid disorders, then if you have anemia, if you have received radiation to your neck or upper chest due to some type of cancer or some other treatment, if there has been a thyroid surgery or any other autoimmune related disorders. So what are the types of thyroid diseases we'll be discussing for menopausal women today? We'll be discussing four most common, that is hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, thyroid cancer, and thyroid nodules. So coming to the first two types, which are very common, the commonest among them is hypothyroidism, and the next common is hyperthyroidism. So what happens to a hypothyroidism woman? She'll be having thinning of hair or hair loss. The face will be puffy. The thyroid gland will be enlarged. She will have dry and coarse skin. Her appetite will be poor. There will be constipation and there will be cool extremities and swelling of the limbs. There is weight gain, poor memory, intolerance to cold, and feeling of tiredness at all times in hypothyroid women. Whereas in a hyperthyroid woman, again, the hair will be brittle, there will be increased perspiration, she'll be very irritable, there will be hyperactivity, high levels of blood sugar will be there, intolerance to heat, and low levels of serum cholesterol. A very important feature that will be present in hypothyroid women will be hand tremors. So there are few signs and symptoms which are common to all three, that is to hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, and also to the menopausal woman. So this is what makes the diagnosis difficult in women of older age. So in hypothyroidism, we have seen that there will be skin atrophy, constipation, brittle hair, periorbital edema, weight gain, and constipation. In hyperthyroidism also, there will be hot flushes, palpitations, irritability, and insomnia. So all these symptoms are also there in menopause. Now, in patients over the age of 60, cardiovascular and myopathic manifestations predominate. The most common presenting complaints are palpitations, dyspnea on exertion, that is breathing difficulty while you're walking. There'll be tremors, nervousness, and weight loss. So we have seen what are the symptoms of thyroid disorders. Let's see how we screen. Now, screening of thyroid is very simple and as well as very important for all women. I personally do it for each and every woman who comes to my clinic. Now, screening for thyroid disorders has been recommended by the Indian Menopause Society. Measurement of serum thyroid stimulating hormone, that is TSH, and further testing by a free T4 is added only if the TSH value comes abnormal. Now, I've already stated to you that in a lab report, what they give as a normal TSH value is for adults. For a woman who is aged, we usually consider hypothyroid only if the TSH value is 10 or more. Now, as a screening test, serum TSH is appropriate to identify primary hypothyroidism, which is the most common form. Investigation for other causes depends on the clinical situation, like what the patient is suffering for when you examine the patient. In the minority of women who have impaired well-being despite normal biochemical values, a combination of T3, T4 may be considered. So coming to the next common condition, that is benign thyroid nodular disease. So what do we mean by this? As you can see in this picture, there's a small yellow colored round ball thing, which we call a single nodule. So thyroid nodules are found in more than 50% of patients aged more than 60 years. The symptoms of disease varies from incidentally discovered thyroid nodule on ultrasound or neck examination to very large nodular goiters causing tracheal obstruction and atrial fibrillation. The treatment should be adequate to the medical problem. So these thyroid nodules, when they are small, they're usually asymptomatic, but they can be accidentally discovered when you get an ultrasound done or when we examine the patient. So observation with TFTs and thyroid ultrasound every 1 to 3 years in small goiters is recommended. So it is recommended in 1 or 3 years if it is small in size to just check if the thyroid nodule size is increasing. Surgical and radioiodine therapy, that is the treatment for these nodules, is only done when they are very large and they are causing any obstruction. And the other test which is needed to be done is fine needle aspiration biopsy, in which we poke a needle inside the nodule and send the tissue for testing to see whether it has turned cancerous. So now coming to thyroid cancer. The incidence of thyroid cancer increases in population after 55 years of age. The symptoms and treatment of thyroid cancer is same in all adult patients. So again, for these patients, we need to do a fine needle aspiration biopsy. That is, we take out a small tissue with a fine needle and send it for testing. Older patients have greater risk of surgery because of greater comorbidities and poorer tolerance to medicines. So for thyroid cancer, the treatment is surgery or radiation. But as we see in older patients or in menopausal women, they already suffer from either high blood pressure or diabetes or other health issues they have. So surgery becomes difficult, and their tolerance or their survival after surgery also becomes difficult if they have other comorbidities or other diseases. Now, patients more than 45 years old have a poor prognosis than the younger patients. The other thyroid abnormality in perimenopausal women, that is just before menopause, is abnormal uterine bleeding. Abnormal uterine bleeding is commonly found in perimenopausal women with thyroid dysfunctions. Either they will have very heavy bleeding during periods, or they will have less bleeding, or they will have multiple time bleedings in a month. So it is important to screen all women for thyroid abnormality who are presenting with abnormal uterine bleeding, especially with non-structural causes of abnormal uterine bleeding. That is, if they don't have any fibroids or any other tumors in the uterus or other diseases, if you don't find anything else on examination and the patient is repeatedly coming with abnormal bleeding, we usually test them for thyroid. So now we have few slides here about the common questions which patients ask. How to lose weight in thyroid disease? As we see in hypothyroidism, patients put on sudden amount of lot of weight. So what you need to understand in this is you take a gluten-free diet, understand your medication, that is how you have to take thyroid medicine. That is another very important thing, and I'll be discussing it in the next slide. Get enough water and fiber, have a good sleep. Now, thyroid and diabetes, all these are stress related, and also if you take proper sleep, it takes care of a lot of hormonal imbalances in our body. So get enough sleep is what is recommended for all the hormonal problems like PCOS also. So the time that is recommended for a good sleep is between 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. Exercise at least 60 minutes per day. Limit goitrogenic foods. Limit processed foods. And have you should meditate or have some form of creative hobby or something that keeps you busy and stress-free. So what are the risks of not taking your thyroid medication? Now, thyroid medication, like few other medications, is one of them where we have to take it regularly. So with hypothyroidism, if you don't take your medicines regularly, it leads to elevated levels of cholesterol. There's muscle weakness, inability to lose or gain weight. There'll be enlarged thyroid. You will feel depressed all the time. There'll be low body temperature and increased risk of heart disease. Whereas if you are having hyperthyroidism, that is where there's more production of thyroid hormone, it will lead to heat intolerance and sweating, high blood pressure, nervousness, anxiety, panic attacks, insomnia, again enlarged thyroid, inability to lose or gain weight, and muscle weakness will be there. So now coming to the most important point, how to take this thyroid medicine. Now, what we usually recommend our patients, we used to recommend earlier to our patients was to take it early morning. Early morning is as soon as you get up, you take one tablet of thyroid and then you don't eat or drink anything for 1 hour, not even tea. But now what we usually prefer telling our patients is it is better to take at bedtime. So why are we asking our patients to take this tablet 1 hour after dinner or just before going to bed? Because there are less chance of coffee and breakfast interfering with medication absorption. Now with thyroid hormone, thyroid tablet, it doesn't get absorbed in our body if we take it with tea within 15 minutes or if before 1 hour we have our breakfast. So what is now recommended is that you take the tablet just before going to bed. It is easier to avoid other medications and supplements interfering with absorption. As we see during menopause, we need other medications like calcium, or if you're suffering from blood pressure or diabetes, you might be taking those tablets also. So all these tablets interfere with the absorption of thyroid tablet. So it is preferred that you take it empty stomach at night. Bowel motility is lower at night, allowing for better absorption and uptake of the medicine. Optimal absorption can help improve thyroid symptoms. So that is why we recommend now taking this tablet at bedtime. So now let's sum up what we need to understand about menopause and thyroid. Thyroid disease like hypothyroidism, nodular goiter, and cancer are especially frequent in postmenopausal and elderly women. The diagnosis of thyroid dysfunction is difficult in these patients because of non-specific symptoms and symptoms very similar to menopause. Thyroid dysfunction increases cardiovascular risk and mortality. Hyperthyroidism leads to increased risk of osteoporotic fractures in postmenopausal women. Thyroid cancer treatment relates to worst outcome in postmenopausal women. So it is very important that you follow your doctor's advice. So thank you so much for your patient hearing. I hope I was very clear and you understood the topic well. So our next topic will be a mix of hyperandrogenism, PCOS, endometriosis, and fibroids at menopause. Thank you.